to anyone who have cancelled their operation or clinic and stuff. But I'm better, and the clinic's going ahead tomorrow. So back on the saddle, and got some questions here. I got the Qs, you got the A's. No, I got the A's, you got the Qs. If you've got the Qs, I've got the A's. So if you've got a Q, then please Q away. If you have, if you just want the A's, then, well, they're right here. So they're coming up shortly. Sorry you've been ill. Yeah, I have. Watching you in the sunshine. Yeah, watching me in the sunshine. That's a bit spooky, Corin. What, you've been watching me while I've been in the garden? Well, I've been confined to barracks for most of the weeks, to be honest. But yeah, last few days have been nice, haven't they? Makes a big difference because my eyes when like the COVID times, I've got to be honest. I look a bit of a scruff looking at myself. I did trim my beard just now. I did give it a bit of a trim. I was looking even worse. But the Urdu needs a bit of work. Well, I have actually ordered, did a bit of retail therapy. I ordered a new hair trimmer thing where you can do it yourself. In your garden. I don't sound great, do I? How did I sound last week, Corin? Because I got really ill after the one last week. Yeah, my wife normally does my hair, but I have to wait for ages for her to do it, and it gives me a headache once it gets to a certain level, like now. It needs to be done. So I've ordered a thing where you can do it yourself. So that'll be interesting. Kind of hoped it would be here by now. The price was the same on Amazon as it was on the the company website. And Amazon, I got it on Sunday because I did it on Saturday. But I thought, no, I'm going to support the company. But look, and I had to download an app to track it and all that. And I still wait. I mean, I'll say I'm still waiting. It's not that bad, is it? But you get so ingrained with the Amazon thing. And how do they do it? How can they do it for the same price as the company? And I'd have got it on Sunday if I'd done it on Amazon, because it was on Amazon Prime next day. All right. Unbelievable. Wanted to support the company a bit, Anyway, you sounded fine, but didn't quite seem yourself, to be honest. Glad you're feeling better. Yeah, well, didn't I? Well, am I now? I don't want to ask. Don't ask. Don't answer. I mean, I've asked, but don't answer how I am now. I don't want to hear it. All right? If it's not good news, I don't want to hear it. All right? I think the hair's not helping. The hair's making me look more disheveled. This bit at the top, I know Julia suffers cutting it because it's like wispy, hard to cut. But this clipper thing's got a thing for short and thicker and thinner hair. I watched the instructional video on it. I never knew what that lever at the side was for, but it says for thicker and thinner hair. So maybe for thinner hair, that'll get that top bit better. Because that just looks a bit, but I don't know. I think if you didn't have that, it'd look all right, wouldn't I? I mean, that looks all right. But that looks a bit, get a bit Grecian, not Grecian 2000, a bit of Brill cream. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm going to get into the questions because that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. I had a tummy tuck 8 months ago, but I have a bulge on one side. Will liposuction reduce this? Tricky question. I've got to assume the audio. I'm assuming the audio is working on Instagram because I'm having a conversation with Corin. I've got to assume it's working on Facebook. Is the audio working? Can you hear me? We'll assume it is. What's your thoughts on hair transplants? Not hinting, by the way, Corin. What's my thought on hair transplants? I think they come on leaps and bounds, Corin. I think they come on leaps and bounds, and I think they. Do you know what, Corin? I am amazed it's not more popular than it is. I'm amazed. I mean, my good friend Greg Williams does it in London, but in terms of plastics, I think Ken Cock does it. Does he? Maybe in Birmingham. He's got the hair and follicle clinic, but I'm amazed more plastic surgeons don't do it because I think there's a huge. I mean. Look at the baldies out there. There's so many baldies out there. And let's be honest with ourselves. You look a lot better when you got the head of hair on you, You just have to look at Homer. See Homer when he had a head of hair? He takes years off you. But I'll be honest with you, Corin. My thought on it from a personal view, and this is a personal view, it is not a medical sort of view because I don't do hair transplant. Yeah, it looks brutal. I don't think it's as brutal as it looks. I think it's very time consuming. They looked at doing it in the clinic once. you have to take any little follicle out and the little follicle in and all that. So it's a real doodah. But we had a guy who used to rent the place next door to the clinic, and called Optima. It was called, not eyes. It was hair, and he shaved the head, and he stuck this thing on. Are you going to call it a wig? What are you going to call it? A toupee? I don't know what you're going to call it. But he had one, and it was brilliant. Be honest with you, it was actually brilliant. He used to do this thing where he'd get a pen and he'd stick his pen like that, and the pen would stay because it was in between the sort of wig thing and the skin. And if I was doing anything, which I'm not, I'll probably do. I think I'll probably do that. I'd certainly have a go at that sticking thing on. Sort of surgery. Not so sure. But I mean, obviously, surgery is a permanent result. So I'll be honest with you, Corin, it's not really anything I think when you've got a lot on, you don't really. I don't know, maybe that's unfair. But I've got a lot on. I've never thought about it, really. And fortunately, I've got a wife and family and all that. So not really trying to attract a mate or anything. So it's not really a priority. So clever they do it, and looks great too. Maybe you should look into doing it. No, Corin, I have actually got wigs. Sometimes I wear a wig just for dressing up. Dressing up sounds bad, doesn't it? If you go to a party. Anyway, come on, we're getting out of sync here. Pull it back, Jay. Pull it back. Come on, mate. You were talking about tummy tuck 8 months ago. Yes. I had a tummy tuck 8 months ago, but I had a bulge on one side. Will liposuction reduce this? There's a lot of questions that I get asked that I can't answer in words from a words. Blimey. Basically, I need to see you, basically, or you need to see a doctor. Put it like that. You need to see a surgeon who needs to get a history and examine you. There's only so much you can do over the internet. A lot of people ask questions and have comments and stuff on the internet, but actually what you really need is an in-person consultation, and this is one of those examples. So will liposuction reduce this? Well, if it's fat, then yes, liposuction will reduce it. Could it be fat? Well, yes, it could. If you had a tummy tuck and you might have more fat on one side than the other. I'd like to know what do you mean by side? Whether you mean by front side or side. So front side, it's more likely to be not fat. But if it's side, especially if you've had liposuction, you may have had more liposuction on one side than the other. And there may be a residual bit of fat there. But at the same time, it could be seroma, it could be swelling, it could be post-op edema, it could be, 8 months I accept is a long time, but it is still within what I would say the healing process. So I would say a year is really where you start to heal. And it depends on how bad it is. If it's just a massive bulge, then, maybe you want to look at getting something done about it. But it's not a massive bulge, particularly if it's not there all the time. That might suggest that there's still some swelling, and there may well still be some swelling at 8 months. Don't write yourself off at 8 months. You may well still have some improvement to go. So if it's mild and it doesn't bother you massively, I would say keep an eye on it. But as ever with these things, work with your surgeon. Talk to your surgeon. Get examined by your surgeon. Get an opinion. See what, is it like a watery fluid thing? Is it like a localized seroma? Is it swelling and fat? Is it whatever? Sometimes it's hard to tell exactly whether it's swelling or fat, to be honest with you, because it's hard to clinically diagnose the difference between the two. But if it is different at different times of day and things like that, and if it has helped when your binder's on, then you would suggest that it's more likely to be swelling than fat. But either way, if it's not too bad, I would leave it to about a year. That's what I would say. That's my... No, I meant doing the treatment on patients. Oh, you meant me doing the treatment, doing hair transplant on patients? I wouldn't do it, Corin. I'm not in the market of learning new stuff. Does that sound bad? But that's a specialty in itself. And as I say, Greg does it. He comes on in every now and then. Greg does. Greg says hello. Greg Williams, that is. And Ken Cock does it. Ken Cock doesn't come on here so much. But Ken Cock's in Birmingham. Greg's in London. Used to see Greg down in the clinic in Harley Street. Don't go down there anymore. But lovely guy, Greg. But yeah, it's like anything, Corin. It's like the Botox and all that. Some people specialize in it, do it, and do it really well. Am I going to then pick it up and go and do a course and dabble in it? No, I'm not. I'm not a dabbler. I've said this 100 times, Corin. I'm not a dabbler, so I'm not going to mess with a hair transplant. I'll leave it to the guys who are experts in it. This is a good one. Do we offer laser earlobe reduction? Laser earlobe reduction. Wow. What is laser earlobe reduction? How can you laser earlobe reduce an earlobe? Love to know. Love to know. I mean, I'm not an obvious. Well, maybe the answer is not obvious, but it's a no. I don't even know what it is. I can't imagine how a laser could reduce the earlobe. I mean, you get some lasers which target pigments, which do things like vascular malformations and some tattoos and what have you. They tackle certain colors. And some lasers are what's called ablative lasers, where they essentially cut, like a CO2 laser and things like that. So I guess with the CO2 laser, you could cut the earlobe. I don't know why you would want to do that instead of cutting it with a knife. But anyway, I can't see how a laser earlobe reduction would work. Not heard of it. Don't do it. Love to know more. If you ask the laser earlobe reduction question, tell me more, because I'll look into it. As in, just for my own interest, not like look into doing it. But it sounds, anything laser sounds great, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah, no, we don't do laser earlobe reduction. Jackie, what you got? My front side is also distended after TT. If it's your front side, Jackie, I would say that's less likely to be fat, and less likely to be amenable to liposuction, and that's more likely to be swelling, because that's where the surgery is. And usually the fat on the front is relatively uniform. Sometimes you can get a bit of fullness above the scar on one side more than the other, but the fat on the front of the abdomen is relatively uniform. If you're going to get bulges and things in terms of residual fat, it's usually on the side. And so it's just from what you said there, Jackie, I would say swelling. It goes again, how long is it after surgery, etc., as to whether it is swelling or anything else. But it does take a long time, longer than you might think. I think a lot of people think it's going to be over at 5 months or 8 months, but it does take a long time. Can I have breast augmentation and liposuction if I suffer from sleep apnea? Interesting question, this. Don't often see it in a breast augmentation category of patients. So sleep apnea is basically patients who have problems essentially stopping breathing when they're asleep. And often it's because they've got heaviness in their neck and in their jowls, and the airway closes off. And it results in them snoring a lot, and it results on them having very bad sleep and not resting very well and being tired in the day. And it is treated by using something called CPAP, which is continuous positive airway pressure, which is a big strap-on face mask which keeps the pressure in the airways open, basically, so it stops them from collapsing. And so it's usually, in my experience, and I haven't, to full disclosure, I haven't got a huge experience of it, but in my experience, it's usually men with big heavy jowls. So I haven't seen it in a breast augmentation patient. But having said that, would it be a contraindication? No, it wouldn't. It would not be an absolute. We'll talk in a minute about absolute contraindications, relative contraindications. An absolute contraindications means flipping heck, we're not doing the surgery on you. It is not an absolute contraindication. I mean, I guess it could be a relative contraindication in terms of the fact that we would speak with the anaesthetist, see how bad your sleep apnea is, to see whether it's going to affect your post-op recovery. Now, during the surgery, we'd probably want to put a tube. I would imagine, as I say, it would be up to the anaesthetist. It wouldn't really be up to me. But they'd probably want to protect your airway with an endotracheal tube, which is not unreasonable for breast augmentation, but that keeps the airway open, because there's a plastic tube in there. So that wouldn't be a problem. but by the fact that you're sort of asleep, if you like, having surgery, you're not going to have this sleep apnea while you're having surgery, because we'll have a tube in there which will keep your airway open. So I think if you're controlling it basically and you're living a normal life, I wouldn't have thought it'd be a problem. But it's something we talk to people who are dealing with your sleep apnea to be absolutely sure about it. But in itself, I would have thought it'd be absolutely fine. A year of my life, good name. Do we offer breast augmentation for males? No, we don't. And the reason we don't is because transgender and gender reassignment surgery is a specific area with specific experts involved in it, one of whom will be a plastic surgeon who will be doing things like the breast surgery. But there'll also be endocrinologists and psychologists, and I don't even know who, to be honest with you. All sorts of the gynecologists, urologists. So it's a multidisciplinary team approach. So it's not something you would approach unilaterally. And certainly when I was in the NHS, which is going back a bit now, probably 10 years, my friend Guy Stern did all the gender reassignment work and was part of that multidisciplinary team and had the connections and had the backup and the support. And so he did all the surgery. And so if someone asked me about it now, I would say go to Guy. I don't know if he's still doing it, but if he isn't, I'm sure he'll know who is now. So whilst in itself you could argue the surgery is not potentially that much difference to doing a breast augmentation on a very flat-chested female, it is something that would need to be approached in a multidisciplinary way. And so I don't do that. I refer on to people, Guy basically, or people who are involved in a multidisciplinary team who can get all the resources and all the people appropriate for that. The me now. Hey, can I ask, what's the general recovery of have breast augmentation and TT at the same time? I know it's different for each individual. When you're doing that sort of thing, the me now is really the tummy tuck probably that's going to set you back. So probably you will maybe not even notice the breast that much. The breast obviously will feel tight. The breast will be weird. You have the bra on. You'll be like, oh my God, it all feels odd now. But in terms of recovery, you'll probably feel the tummy tuck more, and then your breast will sort of be recovering while your tummy tuck's recovering, really. And the tummy tuck for the recovery for a tummy tuck in hospital overnight, I use drains. Drains come out the next day, and then you go home, and then you come back after a week, take the dressings off. The first week or two, I would probably say you're going to be bent over because it feels really tight. So your tummy will feel really tight. And as I say, your tummy will probably feel tight and uncomfortable. Your breast too, but your tummy will probably be the overriding thing. So the first week or two, you'll be bent over. And you're not going to feel about doing a great deal. After a couple of weeks, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to be doing stuff on your computer. You're going to be watching the Facebook Live. You're going to be walking about. In fact, you're going to be walking about from day one, hopefully. So, you're going to be out and about. Gentle sort of exercise and getting out and about. In terms of work, I normally say 2 to 3 weeks for driving. As you say, everyone's different. If you've got a job where they're quite flexible, you might say 2 weeks, and then you could always go back, and if they're quite flexible with you, they'll let you go off early, sort of thing. If they're not very flexible, it might be safe to say 3 weeks, because you can't guarantee you'll be you won't be 100% at 2 weeks, but you'll be back at full capacity at 2 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks for work, and then 3 to 6 weeks before you'll be doing anything sort of in terms of exercise and running and certainly putting any pressure on your core, lifting and what have you. You'd want to wait at least a month, probably 6 weeks for that, really. I was on Facebook Live same day, wasn't missing out on live Q&A with JJ. You heard it here, people. Okay, so when we talk about recovery for surgery, Q&A same day, yeah? Come out of theatre, get it on. the that's commitment. Corinne is not. Hi Susie, how you doing? Good to see you here. Corinne's not normal. You can take a week off of the Facebook Live, honestly. Maybe a week off Facebook Live, and then ease yourself back into it. Put your hands up in the air. Come on, everybody. Everybody, let me see those hands. Wave them like you just don't care. Come on, what you got? Oh, stretch. Right, there we go. That's the exercise halfway through. Is cosmetic surgery okay if you have atrial fibrillation? Answer, I think so. I think so. Pretty sure it is. It's another one. It's another relative contraindication. It is not an absolute contraindication. So contraindication, I mean, absolute contraindication would be something like high BMI, like a high BMI, like above 35. A lot of people say over 30. I'm not, but definitely like 35, 40, you'll be thinking, oh my Lord, that's too high. You've got higher risk of complications, etc. Smoking. Well, it depends on the surgery, of course, because if it's a mole removal, might be different. But let's assume it's a bigger surgery. So, if you're having any sort of body tightening surgery, smoking, I would say, is an absolute contraindication in my book. If you're having a mastopexy, a tummy tuck, a facelift, an arm lift, a thigh lift, if you can't stop smoking, don't have the surgery. That's an absolute contraindication. So there are some absolute contraindications, not many, to be honest, not many. And there are some relative. So atrial fibrillation would be a relative contraindication. Susie, I'm doing so well post TT 15 weeks and loving results. You're an angel, lol. Brad is in the house. Wow, is Brad? Where is Brad? What is he up to? Good to see you, Brad. That's kind of you, Susie. Very kind of you to say so. So atrial fibrillation is not an absolute contraindication. And one of the things for any medical condition, really, we look at you and how you are. And if you're functioning normally in life, if you're able to hold down a job and walk up a flight of stairs and do stuff in life, broadly speaking, you're probably going to be okay. That's a bit of a simplistic thing to say, but it's it's probably not too badly off the mark. Hey Brad, I'm doing all right, and I hope you're doing all right too, Brad, because you're a lovely guy and you deserve it, mate. You deserve it. I hope you found your niche. We all need to find our niche. I'm not sure if I found mine yet, Brad, if I'm 100% honest with you, but that's perhaps something for another day. But yeah. So, yeah, if you're managing a normal life, then atrial fibrillation is okay. Now, what we normally do is speak to your cardiologist, speak to your heart, the doctor looking after your heart. One thing we'd be thinking about is things like, are you on treatment? Are you on blood thinners? Because you're often on blood thinners with atrial fibrillation because you're worried about the blood clotting because your heart's fibrillating, and that can have an effect on the surgery. And certainly if you're on thinners, that might increase your risk of bleeding at surgery. So we'd have to see, can we stop your blood thinners, or can we do something with the blood thinners? That's something, and we'd have to liaise with the cardiologist to work out the right time to do that. And the risks of doing that versus the risks of not doing that, and you getting a hematoma. So, it might need a bit of discussion, basically. It might not. You might not be on any special medication. Your atrial fibrillation might not be that too bad. You might have consultation with your cardiologist and say, oh, yeah, that's fine. 2-hour operation, that's fine. No problem. No extra precautions needed. So the answer is we'd have to just check, and we'd have to talk to the cardiologist and talk to the doctors looking after you. But in itself, I wouldn't have thought atrial fibrillation would be a significant problem with your surgery, as long as it's not a significant problem in your life. Started weddings at one now. Long days, but all good. Oh, beautiful weather for it, Brad. This is the weather. So lucky because it's so changeable. I've often, they plan these weddings years in advance, but you can spend God knows how much on a wedding, but you cannot plan the weather, can you? But look at this. Imagine getting married today. Mind you, it's a Tuesday. Cheaper though, isn't it, on a weekday getting married? But yeah, long days, but hopefully a good niche. People are always going to get married, Brad. As long as you have to get in with the wedding people, don't you? The coordinator and all that. But nice one. Chinese weddings, so lots of free Chinese food. Win-win. Oh, don't start me, Brad. Don't start me. Got to be honest, not only to eat. Wife's not feeling well. I know what's going to happen when I get out there. There's going to be nothing. Chinese food, yes, please. Hey, crispy shredded beef. Yeah. Spring rolls. Chicken chow mein, although I've been put off chicken chow mein. I had chicken chow mein when I went to Liverpool once, and I just had chicken. This big thing of chicken chow mein. I've been put off. Sounds good, doesn't it? Chicken chow mein, but I've been put off chicken chow mein. But crispy shredded beef, yes, please. And that rice with bits of meat in it. Was it a special fried rice? Is it called? Anyway, come on, Brad. Let's get back on topic. Last question, guys. Last question. Do you chicken satay skewers? Satay, no. That's peanutty, isn't it, satay? The Mara Diaries, they're all yours. You can have all the chicken satay. Not big on that. Not the peanutty stuff. Nah. Do you do thread lift? No. No, I don't do thread lift. That's like a face thing. That's a face. So I don't do facelifts, and I don't do facial aesthetic surgery. So no, I don't do that. I mean, you could argue I should, because that sort of stuff you can do in the clinic. You can do that under local anesthetic in the clinics. But as I said, I made peace with my chosen specialty. Arguably, it doesn't lend itself as well to having a clinic as if I was a facial plastic surgeon. You could argue, not unreasonably. If I was a facial plastic surgeon, I did the Botox, I did the thread lifts, I did the blepharoplasties, I did the blinking. Did I say blepharoplasties? Anyway, all that stuff. Yeah. But I'm not, all right? I'm breast and body. So don't ever go at me. It's just the way it is, just the way I'm built. It's the path I've gone down. Okay, I've gone down that path and I'm happy with that path, to be honest with you. But I'm happy with the clinic. Very happy with the clinic. Very glad I got the clinic. Thanks for asking. Especially at this time with the volatility in the private hospitals. You're the very best at what you do, says Corin. I wish you could see it on Facebook. Corin's just said that on Instagram. I wish you'd done blepharoplasty as I need one and I want you to do it as I trust you 100%. Oh, Susie, it's not that difficult. I'll have a go. Do you want me to have a go? I think you just cut a bit of skin out of the eyelid. I think it's like just cutting like a big mole out of both of your your eyelids. I'll have a bash if you want, Susie. Just between you and me, I will have a bash. I don't think that much can go wrong. Yeah, it should be right. No, Susie, you wouldn't want me doing it. No, don't say yes, no. But the guys do it. Costas does it, and David does it. I think they do it. So they'd be better than me. So that would be your best bet. 5 weeks today till my MMO. Cannot wait. MMO. What's an MMO? Mummy makeover, I guess. Makeover being 2 words. I know what you mean. 100% trust this man with my life. Oh my God. Yeah, well, no, Susie, you wouldn't want me doing a blepharoplasty, honestly. Stick with the guys that do blepharoplasties. That is not me. So, kind words, Corin. Very much appreciate it. So, that is me done. 1938. So, going to go and prepare my dinner now and see what's going on out there. Water the plants, I guess. Using my water butt and my water butt pump, actually. I've got a water butt pump, but enough of my garden activities. Next week, I will see you here because I'm going to be here, I have reason to believe, God willing. And I very much hope you're here. If you've got any questions, please post them or ask them or ring up or whatever you do. And I will be sure to get around them or just save them up and ask me on the night. But until then, have a lovely evening. Enjoy the sunshine, and I feel better say thank you. You haven't got a water butt, Corinne. Got loads of water butts. We've actually got so many water butts. I've got a water butt down there which is fallen over. I don't even use it. Got so many water butts. I've got a massive one out front, which we never use, to be fair, and it's huge. And just a normal, actually loads. Got three. One we don't use, and it's the back one we normally use. But don't worry about being late, Jackie. Don't worry about being late. You're not as late as Chloe Tarquin anyway, so nice to see you, Chloe. And so yeah, see you there next week, and I hope you continue to enjoy this wonderful weather while it lasts. Let's hope it does. And yeah, signing off. Facebook, love you big time. I'm going to end the stream.